The War Council chamber aboard the flagship Vorith's spear glowed with sterile light, its obsidian walls etched with the sigils of conquest. Alien captains stood in formation, their armor polished, their voices low but mocking. A holographic projection of Earth rotated slowly in the center of the chamber, marked with scars of battles already fought. Cities cratered, forests burned, oceans poisoned with wreckage. Captain Zerthal, broad-shouldered and adorned with ceremonial bone crests, raised a clawed hand. This world is nearly pacified. The humans fling their primitive projectiles, as if rocks could humble thunder. Have you ever seen such childish defiance? His words drew laughter from the gathered officers. Captain Drevos, lean and serpentine in frame, leaned closer to projection, his tone dripping with derision. Their rifles, slabs of metal that hurl pellets with fire, against plasma cannons, against rail artillery, they are gnats before storm. The captain's laughter filled the chamber, not the nervous laughter of uncertain commanders, but the easy arrogance of conquerors certain of victory. For months they had marched across continents, blasting through resistance with weapons powered by suns harnessed in their cores. Human defenses crumbled before their machines. What little Earth offered in resistance seemed quaint, even comical. And yet whispers persisted. "Reports circulate," murmured Captain Vor, his tone more measured than his peers. He tapped the hologram, zooming into a ruined cityscape where streets were littered with alien wreckage. Officers have fallen. Not soldiers, not expendables. Captains targeted with precision. A handful slain by what humans call a sniper. They insist a single marksman stalks our kind. Drevos hissed a laugh. A story meant to stiffen the spines of dying primitives. One soldier with a powder rifle cannot shape a war. But Vor's eyes narrowed. And yet, our shields do not respond to these. Bullets. They slip past, kinetic where energy is expected. Our sensors track no heat trail, no plasma signature. They kill cleanly, invisibly. For a heartbeat, silence replaced the scoffing. Zerthal broke it with a growl. Coincidence. A few lucky strikes. Our dominion is not threatened by relics. Let them cling to myths. Still, the unease lingered in the chamber's air. Alien pride was a fortress, but even fortresses crack at their foundations. The war outside pressed on with mechanical certainty. From orbit, cruisers rained streaks of emerald fire into Earth's surface. On the ground, armored convoys rolled through ruined streets, alien banners waving above them. Cities were taken, their surviving inhabitants corralled into camps. For the invaders, this was but another conquest among hundreds, another jewel to fit into the Empire's crown. Yet Earth was different. Its terrain did not bend easily, its fighters did not break quietly, and its silence concealed something the captains did not yet understand. On the ruined plains below, where scorched soil mingled with shattered concrete, human soldiers clung to shadows. They lacked fleets, they lacked machines to match the aliens' engines of war. What they had were men hardened by desperation, men who fought not for empire but for home. Among them moved a figure whose name the aliens had not yet learned, but whose legend had already begun. In dim trenches and shattered rooftops, whispers passed among the survivors. A single man with a rifle, a ghost hidden in the ruins. He had patience older than empires and hands steady as stone. When he struck, he did so without fanfare, without sound beyond the muted crack of displaced air. They said his bullet carried no warning, only the certainty of silence. The alien captain scoffed, their arrogance unbroken. To them, the whispers were nothing but desperate stories spun by a doomed species. To them, death by bullet was laughable when compared to the radiance of plasma fire. But arrogance blinds. That evening, as twilight bled across the broken city of Drelita's hold, Captain Zerthal ordered his personal convoy to the front lines. He would prove the futility of human defiance, would walk unshielded into their ruins, and show his soldiers there was nothing to fear. Around him, armored carriers hummed, engines hot with the scent of ozone. His voice rang clear across the ranks. Tonight we remind these humans that their toys are dust. Let them aim their rifles. Let them strike. We are the storm, and there are reeds before us. Cheers erupted from his troops, the chant of inevitable victory echoing against ruined buildings. And above them, Hidden in shadows, a single scope tracked their movement. Steady breathing matched the rise and fall of twilight. The sniper lay still, a part of the earth itself, eyes unblinking as the crosshairs slid over alien armor. His finger rested against the trigger, waiting. The captains might laugh, but laughter was fragile. It ended the moment the whisper came. The convoy moved steadily through the ruins, its alien banners rippling in the night air. Engines growled, the rhythmic thrum of armored carriers filling the streets that once carried human traffic. Captain Zerthal stood tall in the lead vehicle, basking in the spectacle of conquest. To him, this was theater, one last insult before Earth's submission. He raised his clawed hand in mock salute to the distant rooftops, daring any human to take aim. Miles away, hidden in the skeleton of a collapsed tower, the sniper lay prone, his body blended with rubble, draped in a cloak mottled with dust and ash. His name, once Daniel Cole, had been reduced to a whisper among his own kind. To the soldiers who clung to survival in these ruins, he was simply Whisper. They did not know where he slept, or if he slept at all. They only knew that when alien officers exposed themselves, something invisible struck, and the enemy's chain of command frayed a little more. Daniel's rifle rested steady on its bipod, its barrel aligned with Zerthal's proud figure. The weapon was not a relic in his hands, but a scalpel honed for this war. Its rounds carried no energy signature, no plasma trail, only speed, mass, and silence. In training, he had been told a sniper's greatest weapon was not the rifle, but patience. Here, patience was not a discipline, but survival. He slowed his breathing until his chest barely moved, letting the rubble itself seem more alive than he. The crosshairs lingered on the captain's ornate crest. Daniel's finger hovered near the trigger, not yet tightening. The shot itself was not the act. What mattered was timing. One bullet could end a captain, but one moment could unravel entire formations. He waited, listening to the vibrations in his bones. Below, the alien troops moved confidently, shields down, scanners blind to what they could not measure. Zerthal laughed, voice booming across the soldiers. Where is this phantom human? Where is the ghost who strikes in silence? Let him come. I will show him what becomes of insects who sting giants. The shot broke the world. To the aliens, it was not sound but consequence. One heartbeat. Their captain stood with teeth bared in triumph. The next, his body jerked, bone crush-shattering, his words cut short. He collapsed across the vehicle's plating, lifeless before his soldiers understood what had happened. The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. Daniel remained still, his cheek pressed to the rifle stock. He did not exhale until seconds passed, his scope already sliding toward another target. A lieutenant barked orders. Confusion writ across his alien features. Daniel squeezed again. The lieutenant crumpled mid-command, his soldiers scattering like startled prey. Panic spread quickly. Carriers swerved. Troops ducked for cover. Scanners flared with futile searches. They aimed skyward, expecting drones, orbital strikes, anything but what had truly struck them. Daniel's shots came measured, not rushed. A third round found a comms officer clutching his transmitter. A fourth severed the hand of a gunner who thought to retaliate. Each impact came like punctuation to a story only he controlled. The sniper's whisper was not just death. It was fear. The aliens' discipline fractured as they fired blindly into ruins, plasma bolts searing empty walls and shattered glass. Their arrogance, so unshakable in the council chamber, wilted in the face of an enemy they could not touch. To them, warfare had always been spectacle. Shields glowing, weapons blazing, victories announced with thunder. To Daniel, war was silence, and silence was lethal. Hours passed as the convoy disintegrated. Survivors huddled in shadows, unwilling to expose themselves even to rally. Daniel had fired fewer than 10 rounds, but each had struck where it mattered most. He withdrew as quietly as he had arrived, vanishing into darkness, his footsteps erased by caution. By dawn, alien channels buzzed with disbelief. Officers whispered in disbelief at what they called the human ghost. Some dismissed it still, claiming mechanical failure or sabotage. But among the lower ranks, the legend took root. Soldiers refused to patrol without heavy escort. Captains hesitated to leave their command domes. Every shadow in the ruins seemed to hide a rifle they could not detect. Daniel sat alone in a derelict subway tunnel, rifle across his lap. His expression betrayed no triumph, only weary vigilance. Each shot weighed on him, not as a kill but as a necessity. He had learned long ago that war was not about glory. It was about denying the enemy's certainty. Where the aliens thrived on spectacle, he thrived on doubt. He remembered words from his first instructor. The sniper's bullet is not the end. It is the question it leaves behind. Where did it come from? Will it strike again? Who among us is safe? Daniel carried that truth now, not just as a tactic, but as the war's only real equalizer. Far above, in orbit, alien war councils convened again. Reports of captains slain in the field could no longer be dismissed as chance. One name threaded through their intercepted human chatter: Whisper. For the first time since their invasion began, alien commanders spoke without laughter. Captain Drevos, the one who had once mocked Earth's rifles most loudly, curled his talons across the council table. His voice trembled between anger and unease. If this human exists, he has done more damage than entire divisions. He has cut captains from our ranks like threads from a loom. Find him, crush him, let no soldier believe in his myth. But myths spread faster than orders. Among the aliens who had seen Zerthal fall, the story already hardened into truth. They whispered over rations in barracks, across encrypted channels. A single bullet had felled their captain. A single man could kill without being seen. Daniel knew they would hunt him now. He expected drones sweeping the ruins, artillery flattening buildings, squads sent to bait him into the open. He accepted it. He did not fight for survival alone. He fought for the hesitation in the enemy's eyes, for the stutter in their commands, for the moment soldiers chose to cower instead of advance. As he cleaned his rifle in the dim light, he whispered words not meant for any ear but his own. One bullet at a time. That's how wars turn. Outside, the city lay broken, but within that ruin something new had taken root. Not hope. Hope was fragile, too easily burned, but belief. A belief that one man could shift the weight of an empire. And high above, Drevos prepared to descend, vowing he would be the one to end the legend. Daniel's scope was waiting. The order to descend was given at dawn. Captain Drevos, his pride stung deeper than his scars, would not tolerate the whisper myth that spread through the ranks like contagion. He stepped from a ramp of his dropship clad in obsidian armor traced with silver veins, the symbols of his victories gleaming faintly under the ruined city's sunless haze. His escort numbered in the hundreds, a wall of shields, scanners, and drones designed to erase even the faintest trace of human resistance. Soldiers murmured at his arrival, not in the usual tones of reverence, but with the hushed relief of men who wanted desperately to believe their commander could silence the ghost. Drevos' voice carried across the rubble-strewn square. This human believes he can strike at captains, at the empire itself. Today he will learn what it means to challenge eternal dominion. His claws clenched the hilt of his ceremonial blade. We will bait him. We will break him. And when I stand over his corpse, no soldier will dare whisper his name again. Hidden in the husk of a toppled building, Daniel Cole lay still, watching through a scope. His heart beat evenly, slow as if carved from stone, though he knew this was no ordinary target. Drevos was not careless like Zerthal, not arrogant enough to parade without protection. The square below shimmered with layered shields, drones circling in vigilant arcs. Yet, within all that security, Daniel saw fragility. Shields built for plasma and rail fire did nothing against a bullet of tungsten steel. Drones swept with thermal and energy scans, blind to the cold stillness of a man pressed against stone. The more they relied on their technology, the sharper his advantage became. Through a scope, Daniel studied the alien captain. Drevos moved with calculation, inspecting his soldiers, issuing clipped orders. Every gesture exuded authority, yet beneath it Daniel read tension. This was a man who feared what he could not see. Daniel adjusted for wind, for the angle of ruin, for the minute sway of his own pulse. A shot now could cut the captain down, but recklessness was not his creed. His bullet was not just a weapon, it was a message. Timing would decide if that message struck like lightning or vanished in futility. The aliens began their search. Squads advanced in methodical patterns, drones hovering at their shoulders. Buildings crumbled under bursts of plasma fire, shadows scoured by artificial suns. Yet each strike revealed nothing but dust and emptiness. The soldiers grew restless, eyes darting, claws flexing against triggers. They whispered the name they had been forbidden to speak. Whisper, as if saying it would ward him off or summon him. Daniel did not move. His rifle remained trained on Drevos, but he let the minutes stretch into hours. Fatigue gnawed at the aliens first, as he knew it would. Their posture slackened, their formations loosened. The fear of waiting weighed heavier than combat itself. When Drevos finally ordered a pause, raising his hand for rest, Daniel knew the moment had arrived. He drew a breath, let it trickle out, and pressed the trigger. The shot cut through the morning stillness. There was no blaze of energy, no ripple of shields. The bullet slipped between layers of technology as if they were nothing at all. It struck the drone array at Drevos' shoulder, shattering it in a spray of sparks. Not the kill yet, but the warning. The captain staggered, roaring commands, soldiers collapsing into panic formations. Daniel adjusted his scope. The second shot whispered a heartbeat later, and a lieutenant fell with his chest cord clean through. Shouts erupted, plasma fire lit the air, but no target presented itself. The sniper's silence was louder than their weapons. Daniel fired again, then again, each shot precise, each victim chosen not at random but for rank, for command, for the threads that held the alien order together. Drevos' composure cracked. He dragged his soldiers into tighter formations, forcing shields to overlap, barking orders into failing comms. Yet every word betrayed his desperation. He struck at shadows, at silence, and silence mocked him in return. Daniel's final bullet for the day came with measured inevitability. It did not strike Drevos' heart, though the crosshairs had rested there. Instead, it carved the captain's crest, shattering the symbol of his victories, splintering pride into fragments across the stone. The message was clear. You are not untouchable. Daniel withdrew as chaos consumed the square. He moved through tunnels and ruins with the certainty of one who had rehearsed vanishing as much as shooting. Behind him, Drevos' soldiers dragged their shaken commander into cover, their chance of conquest replaced by fearful silence. By nightfall, alien networks throbbed with panic. Rumors spread unchecked. Drevos had been marked. Drevos had nearly fallen. Drevos hid in bunkers instead of leading charges. Soldiers questioned orders. Captains refused open exposure. Fleets hesitated in orbit. One bullet had not ended the war, but it had bent its course. Daniel crouched in the ruins of an abandoned church, the night cold against his skin. He cleaned his rifle with steady hands, every motion practiced, ritualistic. Around him, the silence was his ally. He did not celebrate, did not gloat. War was not won in single victories. War was worn down, one breath at a time, until the enemy no longer believed in their own strength. Above the planet, Drevos raged in council, demanding fleets, demanding scorched earth, demanding the end of one human ghost. But even as his words echoed across command channels, his soldiers remembered the shattered crest, the bullet that had slipped past every shield. And they wondered, in quiet moments when their commanders were not watching, if the next whisper might be meant for them. Daniel lay back against the cold stone, eyes half closed. Tomorrow he would move again, to another ruin, another vantage, another place where patience would make him stronger than armies. He whispered into the dark, words that were not prayer but conviction. One bullet, one captain, one war. And somewhere in the silence, the war shifted further. The Empire had learned to fear the sound it could not hear.